Let's get one thing straight. Kindness is not weakness, but too often the world gets it twisted. They see your kindness as something they can take for granted. They mistake your compassion for submission. They see your good heart, and instead of appreciating it, they use it. Now, listen to me. If you don't set the tone, if you don't draw the line, people will walk all over you. You ever wonder why you're always the one bending, but no one bends for you? Why you give and give, but when you need something, silence. It's because respect is not given to those who just give, it's given to those who demand it. And I'm going to tell you exactly why your kindness might be costing you the respect you deserve. You ever notice how some people treat you worse the nicer you are to them? Like the more you give, the less they appreciate it? That's not by accident. That's human nature when there are no consequences. See, respect is built on boundaries. And if you let people cross them without a price to pay, they start thinking there are no rules when it comes to you. They start believing they can say what they want, do what they want, and you'll still be there, still be smiling, still be kind. And the second they believe that, you've lost their respect. It starts small. They interrupt you when you talk. They ignore your messages but expect you to answer theirs right away. They cancel plans last minute like your time doesn't matter. And at first, you let it slide. You tell yourself it's not a big deal. But it is a big deal. Because when people see that there's no pushback, they push harder. They take a little more, then a little more, and before you know it, you're standing there wondering how you became the person everyone takes for granted. How did it happen? You tolerated it. You let the little things go, and the little things became big things. Now, I'm not telling you to walk around ready to fight every battle. I'm not telling you to become cold or mean just to prove a point. But what I am telling you is that the way you allow people to treat you is the way they will continue to treat you. If you never say, hey, that's not okay. If you never stand up and let people know you have limits, they will assume you don't have any. And that's where respect gets lost. The thing about life is people will always test the limits. It's not personal, it's just how people are wired. It's like kids testing their parents, seeing how far they can go before they hear the word no. And if they never hear no, they just keep pushing. Adults aren't any different. If someone can get away with disrespecting you, they will. Not because they're evil, not because they're out to hurt you, but because that's just how it works. The people who get respect are the ones who demand it. And demanding respect doesn't mean being loud. It doesn't mean being aggressive. It means having standards and enforcing them. It means if someone crosses the line, they know it. They feel it. Maybe they get cut off. Maybe they lose access to you. Maybe they realize you're not someone they can manipulate. But one way or another, they learn that your kindness is not an invitation for disrespect. Because the moment they think it is, they will take advantage of it. Every single time. Kindness without strength is a weakness in the eyes of the world. People don't say it out loud, but they feel it. They see it. They take advantage of it. When you're too nice, too forgiving, too willing to overlook disrespect, people start thinking you're soft. They start believing you're someone they don't have to take seriously. And that right there is where the problem starts. You ever wonder why some of the most respected people aren't always the nicest? Why the ones that get listened to, the ones that get attention, don't always smile, don't always bend over backward to please others? It's because respect isn't about being liked. It's about being valued. And if people don't value your kindness, if they see it as something they can exploit, then all that goodness in your heart, it won't mean a thing to them. They'll take it for granted. Now, don't get me wrong. I'm not saying to stop being kind. Kindness is power when it's backed up with strength. When people know your kindness is a choice, not a weakness, they respect it. But when they think you're nice because you're afraid of confrontation, afraid of losing people, afraid of standing up for yourself, they don't respect that. They use it. Think about it. If you never say no, if you never push back, if you let people walk all over you, why would they respect you? Respect comes from knowing there are consequences, that if they cross you, there's a cost, that your time, your energy, your presence, it's valuable. And if someone can't appreciate it, they lose access to it. That's what makes people take you seriously. See, the world isn't kind to those who are too nice without boundaries. It tests them. It pushes them. And if they don't push back, they get pushed aside. That's why you see good-hearted people getting treated the worst. The ones who give the most, love the hardest, and forgive the fastest, they're the ones who get hurt the most. Because they don't enforce their worth, they don't demand the respect they deserve. You don't have to be mean to be respected. You don't have to be cruel, but you do have to stand firm. You have to make people understand that your kindness is not a free pass for them to take advantage. That you won't tolerate disrespect. That your heart is big, but it's not a doormat. Because the moment people think it is, they will step all over it. And that's not on them. That's on you for letting them. People confuse kindness with weakness, and that's the real problem. See, when you're kind, when you go out of your way to help, to support, to uplift, some folks don't see that as strength. They see it as an opportunity, an open door, a chance to take what they can without giving anything back. And the moment they sense that you're someone who doesn't push back, who doesn't demand respect, they start testing you. It starts small, a little favor here, a little excuse there. And because you're kind, because you don't want to disappoint, you say yes. You let it slide. You make room for their behavior, and before you know it, that kindness becomes expectation. It's no longer something they appreciate, something they assume, something they think they're entitled to. And let me tell you, entitlement and respect don't live in the same house. The truth is, people respect what they have to earn. They respect what has boundaries, what has standards, what doesn't just roll over at the first sign of inconvenience. But when you're always available, always forgiving, always putting others before yourself, people start believing that's just who you are. They don't see the effort. They don't see the weight you carry. They don't see the sacrifice. And because they don't see it, they don't value it. You ever notice how the people who demand respect, who don't tolerate nonsense, never seem to have to remind others to treat them right? That's because their energy speaks before they do. Their actions set the tone. They don't beg for respect, they command it. And that's what you need to understand. Kindness is powerful, but only when it's protected, only when it has strength behind it. You've got to set the tone for how people treat you. If you allow disrespect, it will continue. If you let people take advantage, they will. Not because they're bad people, because human nature seeks the easiest path. If they can get what they want from you without giving anything in return, why wouldn't they? That's why you have to make it clear. Your kindness is not a weakness. It's not a guarantee. It's not unlimited. You've got to set boundaries. You've got to say no. You've got to make people earn the space they take up in your life. Because when you do, something incredible happens. People start respecting you. They start valuing your time, your energy, your presence. Not because you asked them to, but because you showed them you won't settle for anything less. And when that happens, your kindness doesn't just become something people take, it becomes something people appreciate, something people honor, something that finally gets the respect it deserves. There's a big difference between kindness and being a doormat. Some people act like they don't see that line, but trust me, they do. They know exactly what they're doing. When they realize you're always willing to help, always saying yes, always putting their needs before yours, they start to take advantage. They push further. Test your patience, and before you know it, you're carrying burdens that aren't even yours to carry. The thing is, people don't respect what they don't have to work for. If your kindness is always available, if your support is always guaranteed, some people will stop appreciating it. They'll start expecting it. And the moment you stop, the moment you say no, that's when you see the truth. That's when you realize who actually valued you and who was just using you. But here's where it gets deep. Sometimes it's not even their fault. Sometimes you teach people how to treat you. If you're always bending over backward for others but never asking for anything in return, what message are you sending? If you let people walk over your boundaries without consequence, what lesson are they learning? You're showing them that your kindness comes without limits, without expectations, without standards, and anything without limits gets taken for granted. Respect is not about being mean. It's not about being cold. It's about balance. It's about recognizing that kindness is a gift, and a gift should be given, not expected. You have to make sure that people around you understand that your kindness is a choice, not a requirement. When people know that you have the strength to say no, that you're not afraid to stand up for yourself, something shifts. The ones who only wanted to take, they disappear. But the ones who truly care, they stay. They step up. They show you the respect you deserve. And that's the power of controlled kindness. That's the strength in knowing your worth. You don't have to be rude. You don't have to be cruel, but you do have to stand firm. You do have to remind people, not with words, but with action, that your kindness is valuable. And anything valuable is protected, not handed out to just anybody. Because at the end of the day, the people who truly matter, they don't just take from you, they pour into you. They respect you, they uplift you. And when you surround yourself with people like that, your kindness isn't a weakness, it becomes the most powerful thing about you. Some people think kindness means weakness. They see you being patient, understanding, always willing to help, and they assume you don't have limits. They think they can treat you however they want, and you'll just take it. But let me tell you something. True kindness isn't about letting people walk all over you. It's about knowing your worth and choosing to be kind anyway. You see, the moment you start setting boundaries, the moment you decide that your kindness is a privilege, not a right, that's when you see people's true colors. Some will respect you more, but others will get angry. They'll say you've changed, that you're selfish, that you're not as nice as you used to be. But the truth is, you didn't change. You just stopped letting them take advantage of you. That's what some people don't understand. They think respect comes from being agreeable, from always saying yes, from never making waves. But respect doesn't come from pleasing people. It comes from standing firm in who you are. It comes from knowing when to give and when to hold back, when to speak up and when to walk away. And let me tell you something, people will notice. The ones who only wanted to take, they'll start to fade away. They'll say you've changed. But the ones who truly care, they'll stay. They'll adjust. They'll learn to respect the boundaries you set. Because when you value yourself, the right people will value you too. So don't be afraid to be kind, but be wise about it. Protect your energy, protect your peace. Make sure your kindness isn't a trap that keeps you stuck in a cycle of being undervalued. Make sure it's a strength, a power, something that lifts you up instead of weighing you down. Because real kindness, it's not about making everyone happy. It's about making sure that in the process of being good to others, you don't forget to be good to yourself. Your kindness is your strength, but only if you use it wisely. Be kind, but don't be naive. Be generous, but don't be used. Be forgiving, but don't be taken for granted. And above all, respect yourself first, because when you do, the world will have no choice but to follow.